So what happened this week? Well, a lot. So I figured I'd make a sort of journalistic wrap up of how things have gone and where they're going to look back on, if anything. It's a lot of fun to have these sort of journal logs. Obviously, the most recent and the video prior to this was that I had gone to Vietnam. I had someone asking the questions there, and this is the first thing I could answer was, I know that you were in Thailand working on your website or whatever, but why were you over in Vietnam? So the purpose for this was I came here first with this like 6-month startup visa, but then they canceled that program or the ability to apply for the one that I had during the time that I was in Thailand. So I need to adhere to the tourist standards basically past 6 months. And that is that you can enter the country twice, and with 30 days on that entry, you can then extend it for another 30. So I'd done that once already, and I'd gone to Hong Kong with this big shenanigans trip where everything got screwed up and I blew a bunch of money because my passport wasn't in good shape. But this time it was far better planned, and I knew that I needed to leave the country to come back in again and then get this like last couple of months here that I can. So portion of the trip was dedicated to just getting in and out of the country so that I would be legitimate and legal here as a tourist, which is fine. You're just humans. We're adaptable. That's what they're always talking about in TV shows and stuff. So I was adapting to the fact that I am now a tourist essentially here, or at least that's what my visa says when I'm in Thailand. So that was one of the reasons. And then, well, what did I do there? That was one of the huge things, very much a part of this kind of wrap-up video or weekly wrap-up or whatever it's been. It was that I've applied to the Canadian Media Fund because I think I've got this great project here that we're working on, and it would be so good to receive support, of course. And so I needed to create so many documents. If you haven't heard me mention it in another video, it's about 18. Now, when you get into it, you realize that, like, okay, I can do this. A lot of these are just documents rather than things you have to fill out, but that still leaves about 8 or so that you need to create, and they are quite extensive. So I was there, and each day I would get up, I would go to the gym, which was really cool. And then after the gym, I would go to a local cafe called The Lighthouse. And if I am ever there again, I hope that I have some work to do and I would go back, because The Lighthouse was very cool. Like, the interior space's seating, it was at all these kind of tree fort levels. Maybe a regret would be that I hadn't actually filmed inside there, because that would have been really cool to do. So I was working on the paperwork to apply for the CMF. I was getting in and out of the country because I have to. That's the only legal way that I can be here. And now that I'm back, it's returning to development, production. And it's gone really well. We had so many important things that we were trying to do before the 16th. Why is that, you might ask? Well, because the 16th is the submission deadline for the CMF. We're not submission deadline, sorry, actually, we're more proactive than that. The 16th is when applications open. And when I read their guidelines, this is done on a first come, first served basis. So you want to get in there like you would on Amazon or something, waiting for like PlayStation 5 when it's just become available, and you have to like spam to be able to get yourself a copy. We need to be very proactive to ensure that that goes well. So we are making everything squeaky clean, shiny, perfect in terms of our presentation. More specifically, did I say specifically or specifically? More specifically, that you need to have a product prototype demo. And so we're rushing ahead to be able to have this prototype demo be in the best shape that it could be in, which will then submit along with everything else on the 16th. So that's this huge thing that we're doing. I'm sure you've worked on something where you have a last big push and everything is so significant and it takes great. It's amazing how long something is in development, and then when you kind of reach these final moments that it needs to come out, how much at the end in terms of just the overall appearance of it evolves, that it just like, it's always becoming something new. But it's incredible in these last moments just how much it changes. It's awesome. I like it. So we're doing that for the 16th, and it's all going according to plan. In fact, I had just 1 or 2 more documents that I needed to do, but they went very well. And it's a huge shout out to my brother for this one, that I asked for his assistance on the budget and cash flow that you need to submit to them, which is another form of your plan, and one that you should have accurate because if they come to you, they're expecting like you're building your dream plan and all these costs that it has associated. But if they see things that seem silly, well, then you've just like sunk your whole thing. So it's important that you do it right. It's important that you understand it all what you're doing. And I find these kind of detailed spreadsheets fairly intimidating. I'll do whatever I have to do, but my brother does not. Like, he's familiar with these. He's done them enough times, and it just made it so much easier. I could hear his like calculator in the background the whole time that we were working on it. So that went really well and was a huge amount of stress off my shoulders. So I now think, actually, I'm kind of stoked. I was like, I'm pumped. I'll make this video. It's because there were, amidst these applications that I'm doing, all these documents, I'm working on the project as well. So there are specifically 3 core areas that I needed to work on, and they've all, 2 of them have progressed, 2 of the 3. And I even have a day tomorrow before that deadline is hit. So all engines are a go. Things have gone well. Everybody's contributing in the ways that matter. Another huge one that I got, but it can be a little like tangent just on the, I guess we could call this like the experience of navigating the bureaucracy once you get into it. It was setting up the corporate bank account was hilarious. I had phoned into this woman at my bank, and I'd gotten on the line with her for about 2 minutes. You know, you had to call and then see if an agent was available to assist you set up the account. You know, got to do this from Thailand. I get a lady, after 2 minutes speaking to her, the line cut. I believe the credit on my line had run out. I didn't realize I didn't have enough, so I topped it all up, phoned back in 2 minutes, and then they said to me, you can't speak to her. She won't be available until next week. Now you've missed the opportunity. I was like, it was 2 minutes ago. You know who I am. Help me. But they wouldn't. So I waited the week, and it gets to I'm waiting for the meeting. It's on the day of. 5 minutes goes past, 10 minutes goes past. I was like, okay, I'm going to email her, which is already service-wise. If you've missed your meeting for 10 minutes, I'd expect an email from her. Whatever. Give her an email, and then she responds and says that, oh, well, this is the number I was given, and I've been trying and it doesn't work. And I checked the number, and it is not the one that I had left for the schedule. You need to put the exit code, obviously, because you're calling from Canada, and that was not in the number that she showed me. So I was like, no, it needs the exit code. And then that didn't work. She said, oh, it doesn't work. I still can't call you from the number you've provided. I was like, okay, I've received calls internationally to this number, but okay, I guess Canada has some infrastructural issues, and so I accept this at face value. This is the business. So I said to her, I just responded and said, no problem. You know what? I'll just figure this out. I'll just call you. You don't have to call me. I'll pay for the charges. And she responds by saying, oh, I'm sorry. I'm incapable of receiving a call in my office, but I'm going to explore virtual assistance for you. I was not going to proceed, obviously, in that direction. I just wrote back, just to confirm, you're telling me to call. The virtual assistance was that she was going to tell me to call this line to set up a meeting to do what I was doing with her. I was like, wow, you made me wait a week to call the number. I could have called the next day after our appointment got canceled the first week. It's funny stuff like this, right? Like, I mean, it's everybody's suffering, so I mean, I can take it at face value. It's not the end of the world, but it's just so irritating because I did call into the line where they were able to take phone calls. She was a TD business specialist, a powerful one, yet incapable of receiving phone calls at her office. It's like, holy smokes. I did get a hold of somebody though, and when I called the alternative line and it's set up, and we have the corporate account now, and I'm overjoyed. My heart soars like an eagle. So that was eventually concluded. We got past it, but it was one more of these things where you're like, oh, you have all this work that you're trying to do, and the work in itself, if you want to be an adult, but it's challenging doing everything, just like any job is. And then when these obstructions get in the way, it's so hard not to overreact. I'll be, candidly, that's what it is. It's a challenge. I didn't, so I'm happy, but it can be tough. It can be really tough. This is going to be an interestingly, gradually increasing in darkness video. I've lit this basically as poorly as you could have, considering things now, but that's fine. We're on YouTube. So that was fun. This is fun. This is the update. Things are going very well. There's these huge, significant milestones as of the 16th, and then following that, of course, we've got some other ones on the horizon, but it's going very well. Proud of everybody. Everybody's doing a great job, and may it continue to be so, because we have really significant meetings very soon. Meeting with our designer on Monday, his Sunday, and we're going through like some of the final artwork to be used on the site. Where I'm like, oh man, this is great for production. We're doing well. There'll always be more though. This is, as I say, prototype. We're going to get this sweet prototype for the CMF. Onwards and upwards. I just saw, this is cool, final note, the last video was getting like 200 views, and then randomly some people started watching the Vietnam video, so that's really cool. Lightning strikes, or as I say, my friend says, even a blind squirrel finds a nut occasionally, so I'm happy for when that can happen. Yeah, don't do anything they tell you to do at the end of YouTube videos.